Come on, guys. Let's now solve question number 14 of our September 2024 RTP for CA Foundation Accounting. This is on issue and forfeiture of shares. There might be a little bit of adjustments on reissue of forfeited shares as well. Start. Happy Limited registered with an authorized equity capital of 4 lakh divided into 4,000 shares of rupees 100 each. This 4,000 shares of rupees 100 each coming to 4 lakh rupees is only to be disclosed in the notes to accounts to the balance sheet if we are supposed to require, if we are required to prepare. Right now, to ignore this has no implication on your answer. Going slightly forward, issued subscription of 2,000 shares. How many shares are they issuing? 2,000 shares. How much is payable? Rupees 25 on application, 30 on allotment, 20 on first call. 25 plus 30, 55, 55 plus 20, 75. And balance as and when required. So how much is balance? 25. Balance of the money what they're supposed to call is 25. Is this okay? Let's make a note of this in our answer. I'll instantly write it stating that my application is 25, allotment is 30, first call is 20, together it is 100. So my final call will be 25 and we found it. They have not given that in the question. How many shares are to be issued? 4,000 is the authorized capital. That's not the shares to be issued. Shares to be issued is 2,000. So let me write here 2,000 equity shares are supposed to be issued. Now let's see what is the complication in this question. Application money on 2,000 shares was duly received. There is no problem in application. The allotment was received in full. There is no problem with application. There is no problem with allotment. The real problem is starting in call stage. See what's happening in the call stage. When the first call was made, one shareholder failed to pay the amount on 200 shares held by him. So this one shareholder who's holding 200 shares does not pay first call money. That will become calls in arrears. So out of 2,000 equity shares, one shareholder has become bad shareholder. Who holds so many shares? 200 shares. What does he do? He does not pay the call money. First call money he doesn't pay. Obviously, he would not pay final call money also. Then held by him another shareholder, okay, holding 100 shares. Another shareholder holding how many shares? 100 shares. Paid the entire amount on his shares. So there is one shareholder holding 100 shares who will pay first call money and final call money on first call. There is one shareholder holding 200 shares who does not pay first call money, does not pay final call money. And the company will go ahead with forfeiture. Okay. There is one good shareholder holding 100 shares. He will pay final call money on first call. So there is calls in advance on first call. So out of 2,000, 200 shares calls in arrears, 100 shares calls in advance. 200 plus 100, 300. 300 minus 2,000, 1,700 shares. So for all the shares we receive application money on time. For all the shares we receive allotment money on time. For the first call, 200 shares we don't receive first call money on first call. 200 shares we don't receive final call money on final call. 100 shares we receive final call money also on first call. And this 1,700 shares are the easiest part. We receive application money on application, allotment money on allotment, first call money on first call, as well as final call money also on, final call money on final call. So the problem is with this 200 and 100 shares. We need to keep this in mind and pass journal entries. Is that okay with you all? What did the company do? Company did not make any other call. Oops, they did not actually make final call. They did not actually make. So it's easy, no, for us. Make that first call, write advance arrear, stop there. Oh my God, they've not even asked us to pass entry for forfeiture. There is no forfeiture, there is no reissue. Nice and simple. Sir, can we do interest? Interest is also not required. Why? They haven't told when did this happen. Have they told when is this happening? No. Can we start with the entries? First one, bank account debit to share application account. How many applications did we receive? 2,000. How much did we receive per application? 25. 2,000 into 25. Can I say 50,000, 50,000? Then I'll write share application account debit 50,000 to share capital account 50,000. Whatever application money is received is now transferred to share capital account. After this, let me go to allotment stage. First, I'll write the transfer entry share allotment to share capital. How much money is receivable on allotment? For 2000 shares, I'm supposed to receive 30 per share on allotment. So let me do 2000 into 30. How much is 2000 into 30? 60,000, 60,000. After this, I am going to receive the money. On allotment, there is no problem. Everyone's paying the money correctly on time. So I would write the entry bank account debit to share allotment 6060. Now I'll go to call. I will make the first call correctly. 100 shareholders will pay final call money also. 200 shareholders won't pay first call money also. First, let me make the call. The due entry or the transfer entry, share first call to share capital. For 2000 shares, I will call 30 rupees. Shall I call 30? 2000 shares into 30 or 20? Sorry, 20. 2000 into 20. 40, 40. Now when I'm writing bank account debit, out of this 2000 shares, how many people pay? 1700 shareholders will pay 20. Correct? 1700 shareholders will pay 20. This 100 shareholders will pay 20 and 25. Am I right? Or in another way, 200 shareholders won't pay. So 1800 shareholders will pay 20. 2800 into 20. Along with that, this good shareholders 100 will pay 25 also. 200 into 25 and then add it. Everyone understood? Add that 2500 to that existing. Pakka? Very good. Let me write here. We receive 1800 shares into 20 plus 100 shares into 25. Is that right? 1800 shares into 20. That is like everyone paying the money. And we receive calls in advance, Alva. How much is the calls in advance that I receive? That good shareholder who holds 200 shares. Sorry, 100 shares will pay 25 no final call money. How much do we get in total? 38,500. In this, how much is the money that belongs to share first call? Share first call money is 40,000. How much have I collected extra? This is 2000 shares into 20. Extra collected is calls in advance. No, 100 shares into 25. That is liability. It will be credited to calls in advance. Some money I did not collect. There is one bad shareholder. No, 200 shares into 20. That will write calls in arrears debit. For how many shares? 200 shares into 20. 4,000. Check the total. 38,500 plus 4,000 is 42,500. 2,500 plus 40,000 is also 42,500. Did everyone understand this? Narration also you can write here. Quick. Patta pat. Being share first call money received.